Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. So today I'm going to making a two-piece dress. I'm not going to be using pattern. This is going to be a freehand tutorial today. Come with me, let's wrap it together. So this is the fabric I'm making use of. This is a silk fabric. Let me measure how many yards. I think I have up to 4 or 5 yards of fabric here. So let me do the measurements. 4. So I have 4 yards here. So let's see what we can use this to do.
So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is to cut the trouser first. Like I mentioned earlier that it's a two-piece outfit. So I'm going to be cutting the trouser first and I won't be going into much details on the trouser because I have a detailed tutorial on my channel on how to cut and sew a trousers. I have more than one videos on my channel. So please go back and watch it so that you can understand this video better. So the first thing I went ahead to do was to measure the length of my trouser. As you can see, the trouser is for a very tall person, so I'm measuring the length of my trouser. And the next thing I went ahead to do is to measure my crotch line, which was my hip divided by 4 plus 1 extra inches of allowance, and I ruled that into a straight line. So after making sure my lines are straight, I went ahead to measure my crotch. So the same thing I used for my length extension, I did that for my crotch. So what I did, I ruled that into a straight line. Then I added extra 2 inches. Now, this fabric is a silk fabric and it tends to pull off from its initial position. Please, you need to pin. You need to pin because you cannot cry at the end of the day. If not, if you don't pin, you end up finding out that your fabric has shifted, and if it shifted, the measurement is not going to be correct, and the things that you are doing is not going to align perfectly. So just pin. So after doing that, I divided that crotch extension by 2. So I had 15 inches, then I divided by 2, which was 7.5 inches. Now you can see I still went ahead to pin. I'm going to keep emphasizing on pinning. So please pin your fabric. Some silk can be so stretchful, so you need to pin. So after doing that, what I went ahead to do was to measure my new length. So I went ahead to measure my new length, as you can see. So from the waist to my nail, I had 24 inches. So I had to make sure that I had 24 inches. So I went ahead to measure 24 inches. So after measuring 24 inches, as you can see, I ruled that into a straight line. Then I took the new measurement. So because this fabric or this trouser is not a fitted trouser, I went ahead to measure 5 inches on both sides, and for the leg I went ahead to measure 4 inches, so I reduced it by 1. So on the new area I had 10 inches, and on the length ankle area I had 8 inches, and I connect all the lines together, as you can see me doing. On the waist area, I went ahead to take my waist measurement and I added allowance. Please add your allowance. It is very, very necessary and important. And I went ahead to measure my hip depth and I connected all lines together, as you can see me doing. So this is how my front pattern for my trouser looks like. So I'm going to go ahead to use it to cut my back trousers. So the next thing I went ahead to do is, after arranging the fabric for my back trouser, I place my front trouser on my back trouser. You have to make sure that you leave 2 inches above the trouser. Just because your trouser is not straight at the back because of the hip extension, or the butt extension, sorry. So the trouser is not straight. You have to make sure you leave extra 1.5 to 2 inches allowance at the top. So the next thing I had to do was to rule the hip extension straight down and to add extra inches on the side. Now, because your ruler is 2 inches, I don't need to start making use of tape rule. That is the reason why you can see me making use of my ruler, because the ruler itself is 2 inches already, so I don't need to make use of my tape rule. So after doing that, the next thing I went ahead to do was to pin. You can see I keep emphasizing on pinning and pinning and pinning. You just have to pin because that fabric is stressful. So after making sure that I add exactly 2 inches allowance extra at the side of my trouser, I went ahead to mark 1 inches away from the center waist of the front and 1 inches above that line, and I remeasured my waist measurement. So do you understand what I said? I went ahead to measure 1 inches away from the center front and 1 inches above. Then I remeasured my trouser, so which will now add extra 1 inches at the back of the trouser. You can see I kept adding allowance. Now, it is more better to have excess allowance than to have a shortage of allowance. So at this rate, I added extra 1 inches because of that hip extension. Then I connected that line straight to meet the top of the trouser of the back, as you can see me doing. So this line, or this curve, it is not too curvy and it is not too slant. As you can see, it is not too curvy and it is not too slant. I also went ahead to pin. I kept pinning. So you can see how the back trouser looks from the front trouser. There is a difference. Now, this is because of the butt extension at the back. There's more butts at the back compared to that of the front. That is why you need that extra 1 inches on top. Now, you can either add 1.5 inches or 1, but it shouldn't go above that. The least or the maximum you can do is 2 inches. So after making sure those measurements are right, I went ahead to cut. Now, this is how the back trouser looks from the front trouser, as you can see. So don't also forget to chalk, because you need to differentiate how the front looks like from the back, because sometimes most silks, you can't really differentiate. That's not true, actually. You can really differentiate because the front is shiny than the back. Please. Okay, so after doing that, the next thing I went ahead to is to mark my pockets line. So from the butt area, that is from the side, I went ahead to measure 7 inches from the waist and 1 inches away, as you can see. Now at this point, you can either give it a slight curve, or you can make it straight. It all depends on you. So this is how it looks, and I will cut that off. But before that, I need to cut my pocket back. So because I don't have enough fabric, I had to join 2 together. So I had to make sure I cut 4 and I joined it above. Now, the measurement for this is 14 by 14. So that is how you measure your pocket bag, 14 by 14 for the pocket bag. So after getting that for the pocket bag, I went ahead to join all of those pieces together. I'm not going to show the sewing part of this trouser because I already have it on my channel, but this is how the trouser turned out to be. Thank you so much. See you in part 2. Bye.